I've had the Monster about a month now, and put almost 1,000 kilometers on it, so I had lots of experience with it now and discovering a lot of neat things about it. But what I want to show you right now is the control panel on here. Got lots of information on there. It's got the speedometer. Move a little bit and you'll see. Move up a little. It's got the time. This is the trip meter. You can set it. It's not accurate for today. I haven't set it. It's back to 0. So once I start moving, that'll start counting the mileage and that. Temperature. It's a little bit too hot. Yes, I think it might be inside here and getting the sun shining on it, heating up, but it's not quite that warm today, but it's not too bad. I will show you when I first turn it on. It goes through its systems check, but if you watch down here, it'll show you how many 984 kilometers. That's how much I put on it so far. And the other thing I'm going to show is I'm going to try to block the microphone from the wind, so when I start moving you can hear just how long it accelerates. It's quite fast. The manual says 15 kilometers per hour max. The website says 18.5. Well, in the rail trail here with the kitty litter surface, I'll get 20 when I'm driving on a road, hard packed concrete or whatever. It cruises along at 21 really nicely. So let's start accelerating here and just listen how long it accelerates. And you can see it stops pretty fast too. I kept going there because I was kind of hoping to hit 21, but I guess not this time. And you can see the trip meter's already gone. I've gone 100 meters apparently. So that's the start, and I'll continue on. Okay, I'm in a place that's not quite as windy, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me and not get all the wind noise. But as you can see, the scooter's pretty dirty right now. I can get it all nice and shiny, and it goes so fast and it creates quite a dust cloud when I go down the rail trail. One trip down the trail and it's all covered in dust again. So I intentionally left it dirty today just to show you. You know, it's black. Black is black. You know, it's hard to keep clean anyways. But it doesn't take much, you know, just a nice soft cloth. And it wipes right off, all nice. So here's my trailer hitch. This didn't come with the scooter. I had it specially made, as I can't be without my trailers. They're so useful for everything. It's just mounted to the roll bar, not welded on or anything. Everything's bolts. Well, screws, 2 screws in each clamp, and there's four points where it connects. It's a nice design. I had that specially made. I like this big space in the back here. Anything I want to put in there. If I bring my sweater with me, I got my little bungee cords to hold it in place, or my tripod when I bring my Fuji with me. You may have noticed in other videos when I do the over the shoulder shot, you hear a lot of rattling. That was my flag pole. The light bar that I made where I had my cameras attached, it was PVC pipe, and the one elbow at the top, I just drilled a hole in the top and I put the flagpole down inside, and it rattled around a lot. That's where that was coming from. So I wanted to do this one differently. I made this flag, it didn't come with it. This is a driveway marker post. You see people sticking the ground at the end of their driveway so they can see it at night, or it's foggy or snowing or whatever. So what I did with this one is, I'll be showing a video on the process, but foam rubber inside of a metal tube, and it's just clamped onto the roll bar. So with the foam, makes no noise whatsoever. I'm kind of happy with the way that worked out. That's the power supply for my camera, if you're wondering what that is. one thing I think this scooter should have is on the back, it's got the mud flaps attached to it to keep the water from spraying up. However, the front doesn't have that. And if I'm driving in the rain, or if I go through a puddle, I get splashed. And you can see the dirt up here, it comes all the way up. It's my arms. So, that's kind of a negative, I guess. Another negative is the seat belt. They're just attached to the seat. There's nothing to hold it in place. So if you don't use it, you just kind of leave it against the seat, and you know it'll slide up underneath. There's lots of room there, so you don't need to worry about sitting on it uncomfortably or whatever. But if you do use it and you take it off, you got to sit down nicely, otherwise it hits everything. And I do have a scrape on the fender, as I forgot this was hanging down, and the tread caught it and pulled it up underneath. It was bouncing around, so you can't really see it right now with the dust, but it is there. So you just got to remember, you know, set it down nicely and don't move the scooter if it's hanging down. So, but it's nice to have. Like this thing goes so fast that if you hit a really big bump, you know, it can eject you. I bounced off the seat a couple times, even with the seat belt on. So I know, yeah, what the potential there is. And one thing I wondered before I got this was the fenders. They're attached on one side and they're just kind of there. And I was worried about them bouncing around and making all kinds of noise. But when I am moving full speed down the rail trail or whatever, they flop around pretty good, but they don't make any noise. I've never heard them rattling or making any kind of noise at all. So that's okay. I'm happy about that. Now, I'll give you a little closer look at the rear suspension. This is really, really nice design. It's got the Unishock. It's got the spring with the shock absorber inside it. It's kind of works the same way a car does. The spring absorbs all the bouncing, and the shock just keeps the spring from bouncing too much. It's a nice design there. But what I really like is these extra springs on the sides. So I just grab the roll bar here. So if I'm going uneven, instead of the suspension just going straight up and down, it also flexes sideways. And that's really nice. And makes for a really nice, comfortable ride. No doubt about that. So that's a nice design. Now what I don't like is the front suspension. Now, generally, it's nice. I like how it's set up. It absorbs really nicely. It's got some nice long springs in there. And there's no shock absorber. It doesn't look like there's a shock absorber inside it, so it's just springs. But that's okay, because they work just well. Now, here's the issue. If you hit a bump with one tire, it absorbs it, you barely feel it. Well, obviously a bump is a bump, you're going to feel it, but it absorbs it really nicely, climbs over it. And with this design, the front and the back, it's all four wheels stay on the ground. It's like with my other scooter. It's got springs in the front, but it's so stiff that if I get on an uneven sidewalk, one of the front wheels is always in the air. And it's kind of almost pointless to have the springs in there, because they don't really, I guess they absorb the biggest shocks, but that's about it. But with this one, this bar underneath, it connects the two together. So it says independent suspension, but technically it's not really independent because they are attached. And if you hit the same bump at the same time, the wheels don't both go up together. It's either one or the other. A good example, I guess, would be the front axle on a lawn tractor. It's got a pivot point in the center, and one tire will go up and the other will go down. It's kind of the same thing with this design. So if you hit the same bump with both wheels, there's nothing to absorb the shock. So if there's one thing about this scooter I don't like, that'll be it. But everything else is kind of nice. I have no complaints other than that. So, but it's just so nice. You're wondering what these are. I'm not sure if it's an option, because some of these models do have handbrakes. I know there's 4 different models of the Monster. This one's the off-road one. There's other ones, I think, I'm not sure if it's standard with the handbrakes or if it's just an option. I'm not sure, but that's what these are. They're protectors for the handbrakes. And I know they look nice. Yeah, I like how they look anyway, even with the handbrakes on there. But I'm trying to understand how the handbrakes work, because even my roommate, she's got her 3-wheel scooter, and she's got a emergency brake, I guess you call it. It's up here. Now, when you're driving, your hands are down here working the throttle, you know, and if you have to stop, you gotta let go and grab the brake up here. I don't understand why it's up there, but that's the way they design it. There's probably a reason for it, I don't know. But got the cup holders here. I'm not sure what kind of cups they would hold, but they hold water bottles perfectly. Just fit in there nicely. They will rattle a little bit, but it's not anything to really worry about. And with it being angled backwards like this, you kind of have to have whatever you got in there closed up. Otherwise it's going to spill all over the place. As with me, like, I got long legs, but like, even on my other scooter, it's tilted back pretty far. My seat's back far on that one too. I leave this one kind of the way it is, because that's another thing too with the seatbelt hanging down. If you swivel the seat with the seatbelt hanging down, they'll lift up and drag across everything and make scratches. So there's a little lever on the side. You push it down, and the seat will swivel. Just like that. Now, with the roll bar here, it swivels 360 degrees, but with the roll bar here, you know, there's really no point in doing that. But it's nice. You want to turn sideways to get off. If the tiller's angled back too far, the armrest will hit it, so you just kind of watch that. And if you lift the armrest up to get out of the way, it'll hit the mirror. So the mirrors are another thing I want to point out. In theory, they're not really any different than mirrors on other scooters. You know, you see more of your shoulder in it, each one, you know, than anything behind you. So basically what you got to do, you just kind of got to wiggle a little bit and look in each mirror. Kind of like you're driving down the highway and a transport truck's in front of you, and you see him just kind of swerve left and right for a second. He's looking behind him because he can't see beyond the trailer, or directly behind the trailer, I mean. So that's why they do that, and you kind of have to do that with this just to get an idea of what's behind you. But that's, you know, I think these arms should stick out farther. They're all like that. It's not this scooter itself. They're all like that. What I do like is these ones are mounted in steel. My last scooter, the ES950, it goes in to the plastic part on the top, and there's a nut embedded in the plastic in the bottom. And you gotta, the bumps are so horrific on that thing. You gotta really, really tighten these down to keep the mirrors from moving. And if you accidentally bump it or something, then the little plastic part in there snaps, and you can just pull it right out, and there's a little plastic disc between the two nuts. That was the first thing that broke on this scooter, both mirrors, just because they were mounted in plastic. So I'm happy to see that this is actually in steel. And you still have to tighten these up pretty good, because there's actually 3 different adjustments on them. You got this one here, which will turn it this way, and you got the one here, which will turn the actual mirror in and out, and then the mirror itself you can switch this way. And it takes a while to get everything set up the way you like. And you look at it and it's like, oh, that one's off a bit, so you move it, and then it's hard to get back to where it was. That's the way they are, you know. But there's so many adjustments on it, so you can get it exactly where you want it, but it just takes a while to get to that point. So I'm gonna take a look at my odometer again. Turn it on, and nope, 990 kilometers. So the odometer goes up to 999, and then it resets to 0. So I just want to kind of get it on record that I have reached 1,000. So if I show it, you know, it says like 3 kilometers or something, nobody's gonna believe it. So there's that. And the tiller adjuster is right here. Push down on it, and you can tilt this backwards or forward, whatever's comfortable for you. Everything's set up the way I want it right now, so when I'm driving, put my feet up on here, and if I'm in a particularly bumpy situation, I just kind of push up with my knees. It stabilizes it, because the steering on this thing's like really free. I like it. With my other scooter, it turns a little bit really easy, and then there's a stiff spot, and then all of a sudden it just turns fully. It's really hard to control when it's like that. And this is like super free through the whole travel, left or right. And one thing I do want to show here, which I like, is the steering is actually adjustable. There's several different holes that you can put it in. So if you don't like the way it's set up, you can move it. And if I move it to the outside hole here, then the steering's going to turn a whole lot faster. And move it to the inside hole, the steering, you got to turn it more to get the wheels to turn a little bit. And that's kind of nice, being adjustable like that. But I like it the way it is. I'm not gonna change it any. It's drivable with one hand most of the time. I drive with coffee in my hand almost all the time when I'm out. So I do drive with one hand a lot, and you just gotta hold on. And it's pretty good that way, but if you're doing any kind of serious off-roading, you need two hands with this, for sure. Definitely. Because you hit a good bump and it'll pull the steering right out of your hand, and I've done that once. Actually at the end of the trail here, the gate, this is the narrowest gate that I encounter when I'm doing the rail trail, and it's just like a couple inches on each side. It just fits through, and just before the gate you go off to the left, and there's a little trail that goes down through the bush, and you turn right, and it's really bumpy in there because it's usually muddy. And somebody's been coming through with ATV or a lawn tractor or something, and they've made some ruts in there. So if you hit those ruts, there's a good chance it's going to pull the steering out of your hand, which it did once on me. And when that happened, this turned fully and extended all the way up, and you can see that little scrape there. It hit in here. And that's the only time that's ever happened. That was an extreme bump with extreme turning angle. So I don't think that's going to be an issue most of the time. It was just that one time thing, so I'm thinking that's not a problem there. Another thing I want to point out is, aside from the suspension, if you notice with my overhead camera shots here, it's attached to the roll bar, which is attached to the suspension. So the camera bounces up and down with it. But if you notice, you'll see me bouncing as well. And like the seat itself is attached to the frame, so it goes up and down with it as well. But the seat is very comfortable and very springy itself. It absorbs whatever the rear suspension doesn't absorb. And it's pretty nice. So you see me bouncing as well. So the seat's actually absorbing a lot of the bouncing as well, which is really nice. And of course you get the adjuster to adjust the angle of the back. And I've got it back far, but I don't want it hitting the roll bar and affecting the camera any, so I don't want to put it back any farther. It's good where it is. And it allows me to swivel or turn the seat sideways, so the way it is as well. Another thing too is, you notice with the camera I got this little piece of paper or cardboard actually inside there. when I first started using the camera on this scooter, I was still getting some rattling noise, which I thought was the flag, but it turns out when you put the camera in these frames, there's actually just a little bit of space there, so it rattles around inside the frame, and that little piece of cardboard seems to fix that problem. Not perfectly. If I hit big bumps, you still hear a little bit, but it's absorbed most of it. And I got a little zip tie on the cord there, because the cord's wearing out. The end of the cord's kind of not fitting properly, so the camera's not getting its power. If you notice inside here, it's just a USB converter, that's all that is. You can plug it in, and it is recording at the moment. It's always on when I'm out. That's why I use the power source, because the batteries only last an hour and a half, and my trips are usually about 3 hours. So, yeah, 64 gigabyte card in there, I can record 7 to 9 hours, which is longer than I'll be out. More than adequate. So as I'm talking about this, I'm making it sound like there's a lot of negatives, but any negatives that there are, they're minor, and they're my opinion. What I think would be a negative, you might not. You might see it a whole lot differently. But I tell you, upgrading to this from the ES950, it's huge difference. And a lot of things that I'm saying are really good. Might not be as good as I'm saying, because I'm comparing it to an old scooter. So I just want to point that out as well. This basket doesn't come with it. It was extra. I can't be without a basket. The mount broke on my ES950, and I was without one for a couple months, and I was going absolutely insane. So I had the basket on the back, which was nice, but it's always nice to just reach forward and grab my pop, which won't fit in the cup holder, so I got to keep them up there, and it rattles around a little bit too, just kind of annoying. If you're wondering about this is my spotlight. I had them on my other scooter, but I had them mounted up on the light bar at the top there. That's for when I'm driving at night in the trail. The other scooter, the lights weren't all that great on it. Four-way flashers were actually on the side, just a little light sideways, and you couldn't see them from the front. And I also drive with my feet up on the top fender there, block them so nobody can really see them. So I had these lights and I had them on flash mode, lots of visibility, but I don't need that with this so much light on this scooter. It's amazing. But this is just a little extra light for when I'm driving through the trail at night or something. Bright spotlights, they make a big difference. Not that they're needed, I can just see farther down the trail, that's all. Just happier knowing that there's more light. Pretty good lighting package on it. Headlights I can turn off. So I can run with everything but the headlights. Four ways. It's got some power saving features. I turn the headlights on when I start driving to get bright, and when I stop, there, they go dim. Power saver. Also, if I'm sitting somewhere for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, everything shuts down. Thinks I left it alone. Nice illuminated display. Lots of light. Another thing I want to point out is the tires here. See that? That's a really nice meaty tread on them. And the off-road tires on the back. And on the front here, nice, soft, smooth. These are street tires. Now, on the website that I was looking at where I was going to buy it from originally, I had an option of street tires or off-road tires that look just like those, but obviously, smaller diameter. And it was extra money for those. So when this thing showed up, when the guys, they had a pickup and the scooter was in a U-Haul trailer. And when they opened the door and I saw it, it's like, my first impression was, oh my god, this thing is huge. It is very large. In my introduction video, you can see where I compared it to the size of the ES950, and it's quite large. And when you see me sitting on top of it, it's tall too. Like I can't remember, 22 inches I think from the seat to the ground. It's pretty high up, and I look so small on it compared to my other scooter. But anyways, when they dropped it off, they had two tires, spare tires sitting in the back here, and the off-road tires for the front. So it didn't cost me any extra for that. I was really impressed. But I do have them. I'm not going to use them until the front tires wear out. These ones here, then I'll put them on. The issue I'm having is the vibration from the tread. When I'm cruising down the road on hard pavement, these things vibrate. The tread vibrates pretty good, just as you can imagine. Which isn't a problem, because it's not an irritating vibration. It's kind of like a gentle massage. It's nice, and you can hear it, and it's quite loud, but it affects the camera, because the vibration comes right up into here. And there's a point when I'm accelerating where it vibrates to the point where the video actually starts gelling. And as I get going faster, it goes away. But I'm thinking if I put the off-road tires on the front as well, it's kind of gonna magnify that. And there's other places, like going across the big steel bridge. Just the way the bridge is, it creates its own vibration. I get some pretty serious gelling from that. But it's like not anything I'm gonna call a negative. It's just something that affects the video quality. That's the only downside to it. I don't think everybody that has a scooter is going to have a camera on it, so it's not going to be an issue. I don't really see it as an issue anyways. It's just something I wanted to point out, that you do feel the vibration, but it's nothing irritating, and it's actually kind of nice, really. So I just thought I'd mention that. I don't know if there's anything else I haven't pointed out yet. Like a hill climbing ability, it's pretty good. There's not a serious amount of torque at the lower speeds, especially in reverse, but that's by design. Safety issues, you don't want to go too fast backwards. All scooters are like that. It's not this one specifically, but I'm not sure. Like, I know you can't just hit the throttle and spin the tires or anything like that. It starts off slow and speeds up. I don't know if it's the weight of this, that it takes a while for it to speed up, or if it's the controller that gradually speeds it up. I'm not sure. It's not an issue. I've climbed some pretty good hills with this, forward and backwards, and there's been no issue with power. The only time I've had any real issue with it is down at the park. I go down the boat launch and I sit down there, take my break, and then I back up, and it's little concrete pads and there's sand all over it. Every once in a while I'll get a little bit of wheel spin when I'm going backwards, but like that's a traction thing. That's got nothing to do with the power. So it manages. It's definitely, does what it's designed to do, that's for sure. And that's the off-roading. The only real issue I've had with going off-roading is my camera, and my flag. The tree branches. The scooter itself isn't an issue, it's my accessories. And this for visibility. The police like this. I wouldn't really say I don't like how it looks. It doesn't bother me. My first scooter, I had it for about 3 weeks, and the police told me to do something to make myself more visible. So I got that. I couldn't really do anything yet because the scooter, well, I was actually rented it for the first 8 months, so I couldn't really do anything to it because it wasn't really mine. So once the warranty was up, then that's when all the light bar and everything started up, and I tapped into the light source and put a plug on the back for my trailer lights, which I'll do with this eventually once the warranty's done on it. But I would definitely say, if you can afford one of these, it is definitely worth the money. I'm not going to say how much I paid for it, because there's different prices depending on where you get it from, what country you're in. There's just so many different factors. But what I will say is the bank's going to own this for a few years before I do. So it's going to take me a while to pay for it. But I don't mind. I am so impressed with this thing. I have no issues with myself for buying it. I needed a new scooter. Well, I guess I should say I chose to get a new scooter, because the other one is just, there's so much rust on it from driving in the winter time, and that's not going to happen to this one. This is summer only. I'm keeping the other scooter to use in the winter time only. I want to take it apart sometime this summer and get all the rust off the frame and repaint the frame and everything, just to slow the rat down. But it's good mechanically. It's still the same. It works good. The electronics are still good in it. I have to replace the ignition switch, or the key switch, whatever you want to call it. I've already got it. I just haven't put it in yet. And I got to do the front bearings again. But other than that, it's just, there's really nothing wrong with it. Just rust. So I want to get that all cleaned up, get it ready for winter use again. Then I can put this one in storage for until next summer. I'll probably drive it in the first snow. It's supposed to be good in the snow. I imagine it is. I have no reason to doubt that. But I'm not going to subject it to the salt. Once the salt's down, this is going away. I'm not going to do that, because I want this to last me a while. But I'm really happy with it for sure. Now I hooked the trailer up to it. The other scooter, when there's all the papers are in the trailer, has some issues with the accelerating. So when we first started off, we're kind of going uphill a bit, and the other scooter kind of struggled with it pretty good until it got moving. With this, I barely even notice it's there, and unless the trailer hits a bump, I'll feel a bit of a tug. But other than that, it pulls. Like, I barely notice it's there. There's so little difference in being on its own and pulling the trailer. And I'm a little bit confused though, because I think it's the same motor. It's 900 watt 4-pole motor, and it's the same thing that's in the other scooter, but this one's faster, and it does feel a whole lot more powerful. So I don't know if it's the different controller that makes the difference with that. I'm not sure, but there's definitely some kind of a difference. Maybe it's gearing, I don't know, but with this one there's no issue with the power. It's quite nice, I'll tell you. It looks nice, it feels nice, and it performs nice. The way I describe it to people is that it looks like a sports car, rides like a Cadillac, and has the off-road ability of a Hummer. And that's not the company slogan, that's mine. That's how I describe it. And I'm so glad I bought it. Well, a few days have passed. I did have this all nice and cleaned up, but it's been raining off and on today, so it's all dirty again, It was all nice and shiny. Mother Nature does what Mother Nature does. Got the rain case on the camera, protect it from the rain. I can actually, this one's actually got the power cord. I can use it underwater with the power cord if I wanted to, but yes, the rain's good enough for me. Wanna correct an error that I made in the last video. Just clean the water up here. I checked the odometer in here. 1184. Now I had said that it went 3 digits, 3 nines, and then reset to 0. I was wrong on that. Once I saw that it was 4 digits, I took a look in the manual, and it'll actually go up to 99,999 kilometers before it resets to 0. And the odometer, if I don't reset it, which I haven't for a couple of days, it's reading 44.8, I guess that is. I don't have my glasses on. It'll go to 99.9 and it'll stop. It won't roll over to 0. I have to actually reset it. Back to 0. If you have one of these and you want to transport it, it's 330 pounds. It's quite heavy. You'll probably need a trailer or a pickup. The platforms that you see on the back of vehicles, if you have one, they have weight limits, and I read somewhere that this is too heavy for that. So unless you have one that's specially built, then you probably might want to look into its weight capacity before you try using it. You don't want this falling off the back of your car. I have a bunch of things I wanted to say today. I don't remember what they were. I made up myself a cue card to bring with me, and of course I forgot it because of the rain. So kind of messed up as to what I wanted to do today. I haven't been able to do any more action video like I've been wanting to, because my body's just been blah the last little while, and I've been busy with other things. Well, I know one thing I wanted to say. The control panel here. I want to talk about the noises that this thing makes. Not bad noises, good noises. Indicator noises. The other scooter, the ES950, the beeper on it was so ear-piercing and annoying I disconnected it. But I kind of tapped into it and made my own little switch for it, for the horn, so I could still use the horn. But the problem is I like to drive with the four-ways on at night, and the beeper just like full volume, beep, beep, beep every time the lights come on. It was really annoying. And the backup beeper, it was so loud. So that's why I disconnected that. But this one's a little bit different. You get the horn, and it's pretty loud. Backup beeper, same volume. But when I had the four-ways on, it just chirps. It's not very loud. I don't mind it at all. Same with the signals. So I like that. And when the battery gets low, and when it gets down to the last bar, it kind of gives a double chirp every 5 seconds. So it's like chirp, 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 chirp. And it gets your attention, but it's not anything that's really annoying or anything like that. So I kind of wanted to mention that. So some features that I do like. Now, there's one thing that's missing off of here. You get your high and low, or high speed and low speed. High speed obviously is fast, but on low speed I've seen 15.5 kilometers per hour, and that's basically full speed for the ES950, so that's kind of nice. And if I'm going full speed and I switch down to low, it doesn't just slam on the brakes and slow down like the ES950 does. It's a really nice gradual transition. And I'll show you an example of that. I've seen a lot of talk, people complaining that the scooters don't go as far as they say they're supposed to go, and there's reasons for that. My ES950 was supposed to be 40 kilometers, or 30 to 40 kilometers, I think it was, on a full charge. And this one is 40 to 45, I believe. And just so you know, no scooter goes as far as they claim to. The reason for that is it's not like they throw somebody on it and say, go for a drive, see how far it goes till the battery dies. It's calculated based on battery drainage and stuff like that. There's a lot of variables that will reduce the maximum distance, like rider weight, the surface that you're driving on. Like this rail trail here is kitty litter surface, so it's pretty rough. If I was driving on a road, a smoother surface, then I'm going to get more distance out of it. Tire inflation. If you're lower pressure than you should be, that'll lower the amount. Air temperature plays a huge role in it. Basically, it's perfect conditions, flat smooth surface, constant speed, straight line, to get the maximum. In real world situation, that's not going to happen, so don't expect to get the full range out of it. My experience with these in the wintertime, batteries don't like cold, so in the wintertime your range does get limited. I have my daily route, which on the ES950 it took me 3 hours to drive it, so there's lots of time there. But in the wintertime I can't do that, obviously. And when I go out to Walmart to get my prescriptions, it's about 5 kilometer round trip, and if it's below minus 12 Celsius, I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, I'll figure that out, but if it's below that point, I know I can't make it there and back. So the wintertime, it really seriously limits your distance. But this one does go further. It's not a huge difference from the ES950, but I've extended my daily route because this does go farther. The charge lasts longer. One of the differences is the ES950 has 40 amp hour batteries in it. This one has 79 amp hour, so they're bigger batteries. I can go farther, but my actual time to do that is less because this goes so much faster, but the distance is the same. I've been doing some experiments to see how far I can go, and happily I have made it to the conservation area. Distance wise, I knew I could do it, but the problem is there's so many really steep hills up there, out that way, and it takes a lot of battery power to climb the hills. So that was my main concern with doing it. So I just kind of did a little bit at a time and come back and see how much charge I had left, and I can actually make it there, so I'm happy about that. I'm gonna do a separate video. I wanted to finish this video off with some more action shots, but I just haven't been able to do that, and it's just taken too long. And it's kind of I wanted to do it today. It's kind of an icky day today, and I'm not feeling the greatest, so I didn't feel like bringing my Fuji out with the tripod and that. So I'll do some action shots out there in a separate video. I'm actually looking forward to that. But as far as distance goes, it just depends on so much. There's one thing I'd like to point out that you need to watch for. If you're going full throttle, full speed or whatever, when you turn a corner, it does lean to the outside. In a car, that's called body roll. With a scooter, I'm not sure. To me, it would be the same thing, but I'm not sure if it's the same terminology or not. But if you're going really full, really full, if you're going really fast, full throttle, whatever, and you turn sharp, the scooter will lean, and the back wheel does come off the ground, and it'll spin. It's not a big problem. You're not in danger of flipping over or anything, but you do that too many times, and the wheel's gonna, or the tire's gonna, wear the tread off it pretty quickly. So you just kind of gotta watch for that. So I think that's about all that I really have to say. I'm not sure what else to say about this. It's very nice. Like I said before, if you can afford one, definitely go for it. I forgot to mention this little wheel here, you turn it and it'll adjust the height of the armrest. I have it set so that my arms are kind of pointing downwards to reach the handlebars nicely. So that's actually a neat design. I like that. There's my other one. There was, when you open it up, there's a little screw underneath that you had to adjust. This is just adjust as you go, and it's nice. So I hope you enjoyed the video and make your decision whether you like it or not. If you have any more questions or comments or whatever, let me know. If I'm forgetting anything, I'll try to answer them.